Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the martial arts and other stuff they're involved in. My guest today is a lifelong athlete who understands how physical activity can change one's life for the better. She migrated to the U.S. as a child, and it was through her love of sports and fitness that she was able to quickly adapt to a new country and language. She's the first Laotian female black belt in BJJ with 18 years of training. In 2019, she co-founded Tuff Love Fitness, a nonprofit based in Oakland, California, which provides free and affordable self-defense, martial arts, and fitness training for low-income and vulnerable communities in the San Francisco Bay Area. She also founded Sweaty Betties, one of the first women's BJJ organizations in the world. For over a decade, she organized free weekly women's classes as well as grappling camps in the San Francisco Bay Area, Los Angeles, Maui, and Costa Rica. When she isn't teaching or training, you can find her slurping a giant bowl of ramen noodles or climbing the nearest coconut tree. Please welcome my guest today, Mollii Khangsengsing. How are you doing today, Mollii?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be a guest on the show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time. I'm glad David recommended you, so I'm looking forward to learning more about you.
Same here. To learn about you and have a chat with you. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, how we kick things off, I want to go back to the very beginning. I want to know where that first interest came from, that first spark that kicked off your martial arts journey.
Well, I want to say that I came in kicking and screaming.
Nice.
I actually met my first teacher through a gymnastics class, and he was teaching gymnastics and also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he would tell me about this amazing martial arts. And I always kind of brush it to the side and just kind of focus on the gymnastics part. And then he moved his gymnastics gym to another location, and he was teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu full-time. But he would have these amazing warm-ups where he was using gymnastics movements, and I would go there. I would go and meet them and do the warm-up portion. And then when it was, Jiu-Jitsu part, I would just say goodbye and leave. And one day, and he would try to pursue me to do Jiu-Jitsu. And I am somewhat back then very shy and have never done any type of martial arts or any type of contact sport. And the thought of it was just not appealing to me. And I would say, no, no, no. And so one day I went and, did the warm up with him. And he was extra convincing and I was extra vulnerable that day. And he convinced me by saying that there's an odd number of students there and that the odd person needs a partner. So I, hesitantly joined in, and the technique of the day was a mount triangle. Those of you that are not familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's somebody sitting on your chest and they wrap their legs around your head and one of your arm and they choke you with their legs. Mm-hmm. And I was literally mortified. I didn't know what was going on. I've never been, like I said, in the situation where I was so close with somebody like that, where I was not dating them. So I remember coming home that day and pulled my boyfriend at the time. And I said, babe, we need to have a talk because I think I just cheated on you, right? And I began to kind of share with him what had happened, and we both were mortified. And then that teacher tried to convince me to come back, and I was not having it. I said, no, that's not for me. And he tried for a long time. And then eventually, about a year later, he had this idea about starting a women's jiu-jitsu class. And I'm always about, hanging out with my sisters and women and doing activities. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I went, and initially there were probably about 10 of us. And then gradually the women all dropped out except me.
Wow.
And I don't know, by then I was like a little bit curious. So I decided to shift from the women's class to a regular all gender class. So that's how I came in. But it was not, it was, I am a small stature woman. My size is 4'11". And at the time I was on a heavy day, 100 pounds.
Wow.
So it was quite difficult. I had a horrible, difficult, challenging time for the good part, about 2 years, of the beginning of my journey. I have, PTSD, and I have a background and history in abuse, both like physical abuse and emotional abuse. And it triggered all those trauma for me. And it was really difficult and challenging. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you think it was? I mean, you had no interest in it. You decided to give it a shot. All the women dropped out. What was it about it? And you said you were curious, but what do you think it was that drew you in, that made you keep going?
It was the discovery of what my body was capable of doing. I think that was probably the first and foremost. And I've always been athletic, prior to the, jiu-jitsu. I did track and field. I, ran. I did yoga. So I was always active. And I think it was the physical aspect of it. And then it also lit this kind of learning part of it in my brain. It is something that I've never experienced before, So I would say that those were my initial draw to jiu-jitsu.
And how long did you stay with that specific instructor?
For years. He brought me in, but then his teacher became my teacher. So when I went into the co-ed, I began to learn jiu-jitsu from his teacher.
Okay.
So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was with that teacher till I was a brown belt. So for a long time, for years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And did you get involved in the competition side of BJJ?
I did a little bit, but for me, my relationship with jiu-jitsu, it was kind of fascinating because the school that I went to was very focused on competition. But it's something that I was interested in, but it wasn't something that spoke to me. What spoke to me was more kind of a way to learn about my body, to learn about myself, to connect with my training partners, to create community. That was more of a big draw for me. Just to backtrack, I mentioned before that the first couple of years of my training was extremely difficult. It brought so much, it triggered so much trauma in me that I remembered driving to class, and when I exit to the school, I remember my hands and my palms would sweat, and my breath would speed up, and I would go to class, and it would be, it just got, increasingly worse. And then when it came to the sparring part, it was just my brain would go blank, and I would have these panic attacks. But I'm also very stubborn. So I was like, no, I could do this. I could do this. And during that really challenging time, it was a good 9 months that I pushed myself. Wow. So initially it was, it started on the mat, and then it seeped off the mat, and then it would, show up when I get off the freeway. And then the intensity just got worse and worse, and it seeped into my daily lives. It was affecting my sleep. It was just not good. So I gave it a good 9 months. And I remembered just at one point thinking, I'm not having fun. This is not good for me at all. And I remembered, I was working full time. And I remember at lunchtime, I gave my instructor a call, the one that brought me in. So I had our instructor, his name is Eduardo Rocha, and my gymnastics teacher / Brazilian teacher that brought me in, his name is Stefan Goin. I remember calling Stefan Goin and saying, like, I can't do this anymore. This is really horrible. I'm not sleeping. I'm just having these incredible challenges with it. And he, tried to convince me to stay. And I was very adamant about, like, no, I'm not staying. And he, thank God, he had the wisdom to say, like, no, I can help you. And he kind of tried to calm me down and brought like reality back, try to bring back, kind of share the reality of me training in jiu-jitsu, in that I was the smallest person. I'm a female. I was like one of the 2 female training. And the school that we were at, it was the style of jiu-jitsu where it's very slow, methodical, smashing, really, tough. Mm-hmm. And he tried to tell me, I think that you have what it takes to do it. I will help you. We'll start, I'll help you start a women's group. Like, he was trying to, convince me, but I was really convinced that I'm not doing this anymore. And I remember I hung up the phone, and Brian, I like sobbed from a place that I didn't even know existed. And it took me back, because I was like, what is going on here? Right. And at the time I was seeing a therapist. So that was great. And I felt at that moment, like, whoa, there is something going on there, that I'm having such an incredible reaction to this. So I felt at that moment I had 2 choices. 1, to just kind of walk away, or 2, to really like explore what that's about, but explore it in a way where I, are a little bit more mindful in terms of what's going on. So I remember I called him back, and I was very hesitant, and said, I'll give it a try if he can help me walk me through it. So that is how the Sweaty Betties start. So yeah, and that's how I just went out, and he helped me put the word out about this all women's training group. And one girl showed up. And so for a few months, me and the girl, her name is Lori, just trained together every Sunday, just met and then trained together. And then over time, we recruited women from other schools to come and train. And the whole idea was to create, a supportive, safe environment where we could come and train and share jiu-jitsu together. So that's how the Sweaty Betties was conceived.
How long was the process before that anxiety went away? Was it?
Oh, I would say the intensity weaned about after 2 years. But I have to say that it doesn't go all, it does. I just deal with it a lot better.
Okay.
Sometimes even now I get triggered, but I just have more tools to deal with it now. Yeah. Okay.
So was the Sweaty Betties, was that your first experience in a teacher role?
Yes, sort of. But in, the Sweaty Betties, I would teach here and there, but we had initially the group, it's sort of like an open mat group.
Okay.
Where, girls from all over can come and train. And, back then it was kind of weird. One, not very many women were training in jiu-jitsu. And then 2, there was no open mat at all that I knew of back then. And then 3, other schools don't really train with each other. So it was unique in all those 3 different reasons, right?
Yeah.
And my role was more to coordinate. So initially, the first, I would say like a year and a half, 2 years, it was me just going out and begging instructors of all types of martial arts to come and teach us. So we had wrestlers, we had senchao, striking, we had judo, sometimes we had yoga, we had, so for about 2 years, it was like every week I would go and beg our friends that were in higher belt position,
Mm-hmm.
to come and teach. And then after 2 years, we founded a following training partners that were in a higher belt. And he was very supportive of women in jiu-jitsu. And then, so I asked him if he would be the regular teacher, and he agreed to that. So for the longest time, his name is Professor Verney would come and teach. And then the way the format was always, from the beginning, I felt like the teachers should be compensated for their knowledge and time. So the way we did it was to put out a donation basket, and all that, donation goes to the teacher. So it's always been like that. Yeah.
Okay. So what led you down the teaching path then?
Well, there were times where I had to teach in the Sweaty Betties.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I think probably one of the main reasons why I didn't dive into it earlier or deep, sort of like make that distinct kind of decision, I'm going to be an instructor, was probably I felt like I wasn't ready, what is that word? The imposter syndrome. So It took me a long time to really like step into that role. But one of the moment I felt like, okay, this is what I'm going to do was more later in my brown belt. And that was when I, got really injured seriously. I threw my back out. And for about a good 2 years, I wasn't really training that much. And then the game I was playing, which was a lot of, I don't know if you are familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's top game and bottom game. And I was playing bottom game, and that was not possible anymore with my back. So I had to switch my game to more of a top game. And so it was essentially, I was learning jiu-jitsu all over again. That's one. And then the other was during the time that I wasn't training that much, the doctors were encouraging me to stop doing jiu-jitsu, and I was not having it. I was like, no, you're crazy. Don't, I am going to come back, and I am going to do whatever it takes to come back. And it took me a long time of just, getting myself back. But when I hurt my back, it was, Brian, like I couldn't sit more than 10 minutes in the morning. When I get up from the bed, I couldn't stand upright. Literally would take me 10 to 15 minutes of trying to get my body to stand upright.
Wow.
So it was, a long road to getting back to health. And during that time, I always knew that I wanted a jiu-jitsu to be in my life. And I think that was when I was seriously thinking, well, if I can't really train like I used to, how can I still keep jiu-jitsu in my life? And also during that time, I was also, my connection with jiu-jitsu also changed quite a bit, and I was having a hard time relating to it. And when I decided to teach, that's when it sparked another wave of like love with jiu-jitsu.
Okay. So think back to maybe some of the first few classes you ever taught to now, where you're the head instructor now. What do you think over the years has changed about your teaching style?
I would say that my understanding of how to teach is a lot better in terms of technique wise and understanding the audience that I teach, and my comfort and my confidence in my teaching has, I had to work on it, and I feel like I'm a lot more confident in my teaching skill.
Okay. So talk about Tuff Love. What kind of led to that, and walk us through how that started?
Yeah. So I was teaching at a friend's school called 4 Elements Fitness, and as a jiu-jitsu instructor. But on the side, I was also teaching self-defense workshops with other female instructors. And that was going fine. And then COVID hit. And then the owners of 4 Elements, they're both our friends. They have like regular jobs. And so when COVID hit, they decided, they were going to let go and end the 4 Elements Fitness. And my training partner, who was also teaching at 4 Elements, decided that the community that 4 Elements offer is very needed and important. So we decided that we would take over the 4 Elements, but that not only that we would merge what I was doing on the side, which is the self-defense component of it, merge it together and create a nonprofit organization. So now Tuff Love Fitness runs the 4 Elements gym, and then also the second program that we run is the Tuff Love Self-Defense program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And
yeah.
How long and how do you have your own? Do you teach out of someone else's location? Do you have your own spot that you own or lease? Or
yeah, we have the physical gym, which is the 4 Elements Fitness, and at that gym we teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We teach Sen Shao or kickboxing. We teach fitness, and then we run self-defense community program at that gym as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's that been going since COVID?
We're doing fine. We're hanging in there. Yeah, we're doing good considering. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, when you first talked about the Sweaty Betties, you had mentioned having other instructors come in and other styles and stuff. So have you personally trained in other styles other than BJJ, or has it pretty much been exclusively BJJ for you?
No, I also train in Sen Shao, the Chinese kickboxing.
Okay. And
but both with Jiu-Jitsu and Sen Shao, I've not, trained as much now. I teach much more. And yeah, so the striking, I've been training on and off, and just recently I'm kind of trying to go back into it. But yeah.
For someone who maybe isn't familiar with the Chinese kickboxing with Sen Shao, how would you describe that differently than like American kickboxing or Muay Thai kickboxing?
So yeah, it's striking. It's kickboxing with takedowns. I would say that's the simplest way, which I think it complements jiu-jitsu, which is grappling, right? Grappling typically, it's jiu-jitsu typically is more ground focused. So Sen Shao is more standing, and then the bridge with Sen Shao and Jiu-Jitsu is the takedown. So Sen Shao has the takedown components to it. So Sen Shao, you take down, go down to the ground, and then Jiu-Jitsu would take over.
Nice. Okay, cool. And have you ever done any weapons training at all?
I mean, I've taken workshops, but yeah, no, I would say I would comfortably say no.
Okay.
No, I would not. Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Would not. No, I would not say that I've trained in weapons,
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone comes to visit your school. What can they experience in a typical class? What are they going to see if they want to come? If one of the listeners wants to come check it out, what do you think? What will they experience?
Well, it depends on what they could take the kickboxing class, or they could take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, or the self-defense class. And our classes, entails, we try to make it welcoming and inclusive. So one of the ways that we do that is at every class, we do a warm up as we're doing warm up, especially we have new visitors, we do an introduction, and even, if people feel comfortable, they can share their gender. And then we have like question of the day where we sort of like, go around and share our answer to the question of the day. And then you do warm ups, and then I would show the techniques of the day, and then you partner up with a partner, you drill, and then at the end of the class, you do sparring. But obviously for us, safety is a big component of our program. So if you're new, then we have you observe for a while until you feel like you're ready to spar. And even that, we're very careful, and we watch and make sure that we picked, their partners mindfully so that they have good experience. And I would say that is both for our jiu-jitsu and kickboxing classes. And then in our self-defense classes, we offer different types of self-defense classes and workshops. Like we do corporate self-defense workshops. We do small group workshops. We do private workshops. And for the past couple of years, we partner up with another nonprofit, and we've been offering community for free self-defense workshop series. And the series are about 8 weeks long, and it's inclusive. Everybody's invited, and it's, like I said, completely free to the community. our belief is that, to train in martial arts more often not, particularly like in jiu-jitsu, it's, for most of us, it's a luxury item. It costs money to pay for membership, for gis and all those things. And so our classes, like our martial art classes are, we make it as affordable as possible. And if folks, have financial challenges, we offer scholarships. And then for the self-defense, our philosophy is that the folks and the demographics that experience violence and abuse and harassments are usually poor, vulnerable communities, folks of color, and also those are the folks that don't necessarily have the funding. Right. So we try, that is why we do the community self-defense program. And it's been going on for 2 years and it's been great. And I am just so grateful and feel so honored and privileged to be part of that program. I'm getting all teary-eyed about it because it's like something that's very, very personal and something that I just love and passionate about.
That's good. And that's a great thing you're doing. And I will definitely put a link for the website.
Yeah.
And just so the listeners know, when you click on the website, there is a link that says support us. And if you are inclined to make a donation and help out, feel free to do that.
Brian, thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
cool. Most of our donation comes from individual donation,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Continued success with that, and it's a great thing you're doing. I love it. It's a cool story.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
With a BJJ background and stuff, and 18 years in the martial arts, what are your thoughts on something like MMA and the UFC? Is that something you're a fan of at all?
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. What do you mean in a sense, like to watch it?
Yeah,
or to train?
Like some people don't enjoy it. Some people do. It's just kind of sometimes it.
Oh no, I feel like it's not like any martial arts. It's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's incredible and to watch. And a lot of times I watch. I don't know. You do martial arts, correct?
Yes.
What martial arts do you do?
My core system is traditional Taekwondo.
Awesome.
I started in Tang Soo when I was 10. I did Shotokan when I was in high school. When I got to college, I started traditional Taekwondo and Aikido. And when I lived in California, I did American Kempo. And then I've dabbled in, I've done some Hapkido, I've done some Judo, I've done a little bit of Jiu-Jitsu, I've done some boxing, I've done some weapon stuff. But my core is that I've been traditional Taekwondo for 32 years.
Wow. Your kicks, I bet your kicks are beautiful.
When my knee holds up, I've had knee issues for the same amount of time.
Me too. Yeah. When people go, what kind of injuries do you have? I point from my toes to my head, I'm like, it's right here from here to here.
It's not a martial arts injury. That's the thing. I got hurt playing kickball in high school gym class. So,
oh no, yeah,
yep.
But I'm sure martial arts doesn't really help, with
I've had many doctors say you need to quit doing martial arts, and I don't listen. So
me neither. I just laugh at them, and I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Luckily, the last specialist I saw about my knee was also a black belt. So he's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you to quit like other doctors have. I'm like, good, I like you.
Nice, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I feel like all martial arts are beautiful and awesome. And when I watch UFC, because I train in jiu-jitsu and I train in striking, I know how hard it is to do martial arts. So to watch somebody in a professional level where there's no holds bar, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, I definitely watch it and admire it from that perspective.
Nice. So in all your years of martial arts, is there one philosophy that's at the top of your list?
Yeah, I would say, there's a lot, but I would say that, learn to embrace. One thing for me is, learn to embrace failure as a starting point for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And also that avoid comparing yourself with other people. There will always be somebody better than you. You know what I mean? And I tell my students, and because I tell myself this, because it's not been easy for me at all. Mm-hmm. And is that try to compare yourself to yourself in that, like, if you compare yourself to yourself a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago? Have you grown and learned anything? If the answer is yes, then you're doing great.
Nice. I like that. That's cool. So now, do your students compete in tournaments?
Yes, they do. Not often, but they do. Yeah.
So as an instructor, then is that a lot of anxiety for you as an instructor watching them compete?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Training them on the day of, I feel like I'm more nervous than them when they're competing. Yes. It's nerve-wracking for sure.
Have you had any students compete in the kickboxing in the Sanshou, or is just mostly jiu-jitsu?
I don't teach the striking part, but in terms of our school, we haven't yet. No.
Okay. Is that something? Is there tournament? I mean, is that a?
Yeah, there are tournaments. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't, because I know in this area,
it's huge.
I've looked. There's
Brian,
nothing out here.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's Sanshou, and now I think it's changed to Sadat. It's Sanda now, and it's huge in China. It's huge.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just see if I can find a school.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to check it out.
Yeah. Do you watch UFC?
I used to never miss it. I actually used to judge MMA. I used to judge local and regional MMA. I judged like 1,000 fights over like 10 years, but it's kind of lost the thrill for me.
It's the shit talking.
Exactly.
All that gross stuff. Yeah.
The WWE stuff.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to watch a lot, but now not as especially UFC now. I'm just like, I can't deal with all that drama. I do watch one championship. I feel like that's less of bullshit. But if you used to watch back in the day, I don't know if you remember Kung Lee.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Kung Lee, his main martial art is Sanshou or Sada.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I watched UFC 1 back when it was in 1994 or 93. I mean, I watched it when it first came out. So I've been watching it for a while. And like I said, there was probably a 5, 6, 7 year streak where I didn't miss one. And,
I know. It was super exciting. Me too. We have like parties, come over my house, and do all of that. Now I'm just like, oh God, yeah, I can't.
I also miss when there was a lot of the smaller ones. I miss, like WEC and Pride and all the other ones that UFC just bought up and got rid of. I like when there was more competition, Bodalgo fights and everything. And it's, and a lot of those fighters, kept going with the UFC, but it wasn't the same. It was nice to have the competition. And at one point, it got to be where there was, when UFC first started, there was maybe 1 or 2 a year. And it got to the point where there was like 1 a week. Just a little oversaturation, but
so much. Yeah.
If it's on and I'm there, I'll watch it, but I won't go out of my way to watch it right now.
Me neither. And you have to pay for it. I'm like, no, I'll
usually go to Buffalo Wild Wings if I want to watch it or something like that.
Really?
I'm not going to get pay-per-view.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, I usually do YouTube or try to, I don't know. Yeah, they typically pull the videos down pretty quick, but I don't follow it, not like I used to.
It's different. Like some of my guests that have fought in the UFC, and I've obviously watched their fights and stuff. And I actually have a guest and friend who fought in the one championship, and so it's, if I know the person, that's one thing, or if I know their instructor, I'll usually watch, but. Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's just kind of lost the thrill. It's too much of the WWE type attitude and stuff. Not as fun.
Right. I hear you. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Nice. So I got a few fun questions that I use to wrap up the interview.
Oh, okay.
No, this one, it doesn't have to be 4. I've had people give as few as 2 and as many as 8. So it's kind of up to you, but 3, 4, 5 names that you would put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts.
Oh, David Meyer is one.
Nice.
Leticia Ribeiro.
Okay.
Do you know her?
No, I don't.
Okay, she's Brian, you should interview her. She is what is the biggest name, I don't know, in, music. I feel like we're kind of similar age, just like Madonna or J-Lo. I call her Letty. She's a friend of mine, but Leticia Ribeiro is up there.
Okay.
I think Hickson Gracie, he has a federation. I don't know if it's still in effect, but he selected her to represent women in jiu-jitsu. She's huge in the jiu-jitsu world. She's a 9-time world champion.
Wow.
I would credit her for the growth of women jiu-jitsu. Back in the day, she not only was a 9-time world champion, she cultivated a 10-time world champion student. Like, the thing about her that is amazing is that she excelled as a competitor.
Okay.
She excelled as a teacher. She excelled as a businesswoman. I mean, she's incredible. She lives in San Diego. She has her own school. Her husband was an MMA fighter.
Nice.
Yeah. So I highly consider interviewing her.
Definitely.
Yeah. So she is one that I would say is up there. Now, are these folks like martial arts?
Any type of martial arts, and it can be people like that, people obviously a lot of people pick like Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. A lot of people only pick people they've trained with themselves. It's completely up to you.
But it's martial arts related, right?
Yes.
It's not like my mom.
No. I mean,
my mom could kick my ass any day, and she's 93. So,
I mean, some people have picked their parents, but their parents do martial arts. But it can be,
right.
fencing, boxing, any type of martial art.
Yeah, I would say hands down, Leticia Ribeiro is up there.
Okay.
For me. I would say Hannette Stack. She's also another jiu-jitsu person. My good friend Shemako, she runs the Girls in Gi, which is like a women's group.
Nice.
They started sort of in the same time as the Sweaty Betties. And they do huge like workshops and camps for women and girls, and they still do it. Yeah. So I would say those people.
Nice. That's a good list. All right. Now we talked a little bit about like MMA and stuff. So if you were suddenly going to decide to step into the octagon, what would your music be? What would your walk-up song be playing as you're walking into the octagon?
Oh, I don't fucking know. Something badass. I don't know. I don't know why the Eye of the Tiger comes in mind. I don't know.
That's a good
that just
song.
Gets me all pumped. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's a good one. I like it. A few people have actually picked that, so that's good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about a favorite martial arts book?
A favorite martial arts book. I actually hoping that I could get to it, but I don't know if you read it, but The Breath, which is written by Hickson Gracie.
It's been recommended many times. It's on my list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely need to read it. And I've told many of my guests, I used to read a book a week. And once I started the podcast, I just barely have time to read books anymore because I'm so busy with the podcast.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I also had dabbled in different projects, and one of them was we got funding for it, and we actually went and interviewed. So it's called Women Who Roll, and we picked four women who are insanely exceptional in jiu-jitsu, and one of them is Leticia Ribeiro, Hannette Stack, Emily Kwok, and God, who was like the fourth person. Anyway, so these women they're just badass. They, world champions, own their gym. So basically they were successful in their martial arts journey. And then now they're giving back to their community, and are successful in the gyms that they run. So we got funding, and I went, and my friend and I went and spent time with them and filmed them. And and that project is on a pause because the friend is the one that has the experience with filming, and she has kids now. And I think you have kids, right?
I have
and
three, yes. Yep.
Yeah. So that's been on a pause, but for a minute, I also was doing like on my own, short, like 1 minute, like a video project called Her Story. And then I just interviewed like folks in the martial arts, and they tell me their stories,
Wow.
Yeah. But now that I run the nonprofit, that I just don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit that was founded with my friend Karen Spurn, and we literally do everything. We teach, we do the social media, we do the funding, we do the cleaning of the gym. I mean, it's just like, it's a lot. Yeah.
Oh, I get that. Well, if those projects ever come out, you'll have to send me the links because I will definitely promote them for you. That'd be cool to see that.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Really appreciate that. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Any type of podcast type thing to do with martial arts, I promote them whenever I can. And
oh, great.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. How about a favorite martial arts video game? Did you ever get into games?
No, I never played video game. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
I think it's just like I just get too excited over it. I can't control myself. So no, I
get that. So nice. All right. How about favorite martial arts TV show?
A current TV show or a movie?
A TV show. So it can be current. It can be, I've had people go as far back as the 60s, like Bruce Lee, the Green Hornet, or Kung Fu. A lot of people pick stuff from the 80s or Highlander, Walker, Texas Ranger.
Okay. One of the TV shows that I really liked, but it's a Japanese. Back in the day, it was a series. It's called Lone Wolf and Cart. Is it Lone Wolf and Cart? Yeah.
You're the second person that's mentioned that. Yes.
Oh, I love, yeah.
Okay. I've never seen that one.
It's a lot of gore.
That's okay.
Violence. But he's badass. Like, could I just tell you the beginning? I mean,
definitely.
It's like,
go ahead.
Oh my God. So he's a shogun, right? And then of course, the story is they kill his family, everybody, his wife, everybody, except somehow, I don't remember how his kid survives. And there's a scene where he is like, I don't know what to do with you, right? He's going to go on this like revenge, right? To find the murderers. And he doesn't know what to do with the toddler. So what he did was he put next to him on one side is a ball and the other side is a sword. And he tells the toddler, whatever you crawl to, that will be your fate. So the ball is, he lives and he goes on this murder spree with his dad. With him, or he gets the sword and he goes and meet his mother and the kid crawls to the ball. So it's him with the kid with a wooden cart and he goes around Japan and fucking kick ass.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, I loved it back then watching it. Yeah.
I just found the first episode on YouTube, so I'll put the link when your episode comes out so people can check it out. All right. How about a favorite martial arts movie?
Favorite martial arts movie? I would say any of Bruce Lee. I mean, I came up watching martial arts. Like, okay, so when I was little, I don't know if you remember this, or did you used to watch like martial arts movie on TV back in the day?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if where you were at is the same, but over here it would come on like at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And as a kid, that's how I bond with my mom. We would go to bed, and then at 2 o'clock, we would meet at the living room and watch martial arts together. And that's awesome. Always like imagine like, oh my God, I would watch it and be like, oh my God, that's so badass. And just fantasize about doing martial arts. And, I was raised in an Asian family. No daughter of my mom would be doing any martial arts. I was, she wanted me to kind of grow up and get married and have a family, and I didn't do any of that. I just, as an adult, I roll around in pajamas with other adults.
Nothing wrong with that.
And act like I'm badass. And then my mom, who, had like 11 kids, most of them she had it herself. And I'm nothing compared. Yeah. I joke about it, but it's totally true.
That's cool. Yeah. All right. Now this one doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Any movie you've ever seen, favorite movie fight scene?
Favorite movie fight scene. Oh my God. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the movie. It is a movie from Indonesia. There's a fight scene where it's like in a tight hallway. It is so badass. Oh my God. What is the name of the movie? It's killing me.
Oh, you said Indonesian. The first one I thought of was the Raid.
Oh yeah, The Raid Redemption.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the first one. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. It's been a while, but I do remember it. Yes.
The fight scene in the hallway.
Yes.
I thought that was the funny story with that was one of my best friends from I met through jiu-jitsu. We one of the things that aside from a bond of jiu-jitsu, our love for jiu-jitsu, is action movie, and he saw that and he said, you need to go see the movie. It was on It was in the theater. He said, Mollii, you need to go see that movie. If you don't like the movie, I will reimburse you for the ticket. And I went to see it. And he kept his money. I was literally, it was super fun to watch. Cool. I was like squatting on the seat of my seat, just all tense the entire time.
Yeah, a lot of those foreign films are, like things like Ong Bak. There's just such amazing scenes.
It's so amazing. Yeah.
One of my favorite ones is one a lot of people have never heard of this movie. It's a Korean movie called Fighter in the Wind. From about
Fighter in the Wind. Okay, hold up.
Over 20 years ago, I want to say it came out of the early 2000s. It's a true story of Masoyama, who a lot of people don't know was born Korean and gave himself a Japanese name when he moved to Japan and stuff like that. But it's his story. It's a really good movie. And a friend,
Fighter in the Wind?
Yeah, Fighter in the Wind. A friend recommended it to me, when it first came out, and I went online on probably eBay back in the day and ordered the DVD from overseas.
DVD, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm excited. Okay. I'll definitely check that out.
I haven't watched it in over a decade, so hopefully it's as good as I remember. But
yeah. Have you seen the 5 Deadly Venoms?
Oh yeah. I own that DVD
was
too.
Like, I do too. I do too. Oh my God. That's, can you edit it and say that that's one of my favorite, martial arts movie. And then I used to also the other series that I really like a lot now that things are coming back to me is Once Upon a Time in China. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Even to think about like what that was back in the day, Yeah,
there's a lot of good. And for me, like series, a lot of the good ones are ones that only lasted 1 or 2 seasons, like Vanishing Son. I loved that show when it was on. With Russell Long. It was so good.
Yeah.
And it's good shows, and they went away. And they're using like a brand new one on Netflix. Was it the Brotherhood of the Sun? It just came out like in the last year on Netflix, and they already canceled it. Only 1 season, but there's some amazing fight scenes in that.
Yeah.
And like, come on, quit doing that. Don't give me a good show and then take it away right away.
I know. It's rude, right?
Exactly.
Totally rude. Yeah.
I know I got really hooked on Into the Badlands. I got really hooked on that show when it was on, and then I finally got hooked on it after it had already been out for a couple of years, and then I start watching it and they cancel it. I'm like, I gotta quit watching shows. They keep canceling them when I watch them. So
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge movie buff, huge TV, so anything to do with martial arts, and for me, my favorite movie will always be The Karate Kid, because that's literally what launched my martial arts journey.
Okay, Brian. It was for me.
Nice.
It was for me when it came out, but dude, I rewatch again and I can't help it because now I have the martial arts background and I can't help it. I'm like, your technique is shit. So I just like, I can't. So I was hella bomb. I was like, oh. Yeah.
See, I still watch it once a year. It's like I said.
Really?
Literally, I went to it opening weekend 1984, and when I was walking out of the theater, the local Tung Sudo school was in the lobby handing out passes.
Oh,
it literally launched my martial arts journey.
Oh, wow.
And I've interviewed, I think I've interviewed now five or six people that have been involved in the Karate Kid universe, which is kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah, people from
my God.
I've had people from all 3 of the main movies and the Cobra Kai series, and so it's
wow.
That one will always hold a special place in my heart. So
yeah, I get it. There's like a kind of an emotional connection there.
Yeah,
that's always powerful. Yeah, so I just saw it like a couple of years ago, and I'm like, oh man, okay.
Now, did you check out Cobra Kai at all?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
No, not yeah. Should I like give it another chance?
I love it. I mean,
I
binge it every time they release new episodes. Me and my daughter binge it together, so it's so good. It's fun, but yeah, I enjoy it.
Okay. I'll give it another chance.
Before I let you go, is there anything that I forgot to ask you, or you just want to make sure we get out there for the listeners?
No, I don't think so. Thank you I want to say that thank you for making me feel comfortable, because I was super nervous, and you should see what's happening. I make sure, because I'm like you, I'm really not like you in a sense, like I'm not really sure if this is how you are, but I when it comes to names and dates and numbers, I have a hard time. my students give me shit all the time because I can't remember like names, which is horrible because I teach like, a lot of students like throughout the week. And so I was like mortified that I may not remember. So I like typed out all these like data and info, but I was surprised to know that I felt comfortable, and I felt like it was just a chit chat between two martial artists.
Cool. And
that
that's
means that you're really good. Yeah. So that means you're really good, Brian, at this. So I really appreciate that so much. And thank you for asking me to be part of this.
Seriously, I truly appreciate your time. And I really think the listeners are going to love hearing your story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.